Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has finally released his day after plan, which lays out what the Israeli government wants to do with Gaza after the war ends. The plan can more or less be reduced to Israel imprisoning the people of Gaza indefinitely. The plan in brief is as follows: complete demilitarization of Gaza, closing off the southern border with Egypt, a buffer zone in Gaza along the border with Israel, overhaul of the civil administration and education systems, security control over the entire area west of Jordan, shutting down UNRWA, no unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state. Netanyahu presented the plan to Israel's security cabinet last night and then released it publicly. Now, to be very clear, the entire area west of Jordan refers to Israel, the West Bank, and Gaza. But who would govern Gaza? The plan doesn't mention a role for the Palestinian Authority, which currently governs the West Bank, saying civil administration and responsibility for public order in the Gaza Strip will be based as much as possible on local officials and will not be identified with countries or entities that support terrorism. You might also be wondering if Israel has any plans to replace UNRWA, which does a huge amount of work in Gaza. Israel claims they will work to substitute it with responsible international aid agencies. UNRWA, which has lost $450 million in funding since Israel's allegations against it, has stated that its reserves will be gone by March, absent new funding. And finally, a bit more detail on the last bullet point. Israel outright rejects international dictates regarding a permanent settlement with the Palestinians, and the Netanyahu outline says, asserting that the recognition of a Palestinian state now would be a huge reward to unprecedented terrorism. That's one of many problems that the plan might face with the international community. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has already rejected the idea of a buffer zone. Egypt has rejected the suggestion that Israel could control its border with Gaza, and the United Arab Emirates has said that without a clear roadmap towards an independent Palestinian state ruled out by Netanyahu, it won't help foot the bill for Gaza's reconstruction. Another huge concern is a lack of timeline. The document states, Israel will maintain operational freedom of action in the entire Gaza Strip without a time limit for the purpose of preventing the renewal of terrorism and thwarting threats from Gaza. Now, I can assume how you both might take this, but what do you think of this day after plan?
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker, because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now. Yeah, it's as awful as I would have imagined from this insane right-wing government of Israel. So let's break down all the ways that it's terrible. Now it goes from a quasi-occupation, open-air prison to full boat, complete prison, no one to help you, we're your guards, you can't go out of Egypt, you're totally trapped, and we're removing UNRWA, who is helping you with humanitarian crisis that we created and has been helping you in general. So there's no one to help you, you're all prisoners, and the point of this is complete humiliation and desperation. And the idea here is we're going to teach them that they can never raise their heads to us. And we make them a defeated people, and then we rule over them. And we slowly encroach on their land and take more and more and more, and that's the buffer zone. And so you think they're just gonna create a buffer zone and not put settlers in it? No, they're gonna steal that land. They're gonna put settlers in it. Ben-Gvir and other right-wing zealot fascists in the Israeli government have often talked about ethnically cleansing the Palestinians, driving them out of the Gaza and replacing them with settlers. So this is as macabre and disgusting and destructive a plan as you could imagine. This is the Israelis becoming permanent prison guards over the Palestinians. If you think this is what, do you think this is what Israel was created for? To set up camps where they oversee millions of people in ghettos that have no hope, no sovereignty, no freedom, and their oppressors are the Israelis. This is what Israel was set up for? No, you've lost the thread. You lost the whole point. Israel was supposed to be a safe haven. And you think it keeps you safe to permanently occupy 5 million people? What kind of a lunatic would come to that conclusion? You know what brings you safety? Peace. You did a peace deal with Egypt, it worked. 40 years of peace. No one's ever fired a rocket from Egypt. That works. It gets you a safe haven if you're interested in a safe haven. But if you're interested in oppression and hurting other people, well, that's Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir and all those monsters in that right-wing government of Israel. And Israel, you gotta make a decision. I mean, they say, oh, we'll have an election after the war is over, and Netanyahu says the war is never gonna be over, and we're never gonna give the Palestinians a state. We're the bad guys. When you say, I'm not ever going to give another set of people their freedom, you're declaring, I'm the bad guy. I am the oppressor. Guys, it's not a question. I don't care what your feelings are about it. It's just a fact. You can't say, if I said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna rule over 5 million Chinese people and they're gonna be my goddamn servants and they'll live in an open air prison. I'll control everything that they do. They'll have no freedom and they won't be able to decide a goddamn thing, and I'm gonna take away all humanitarian aid so that they are so desperate for my little crumbs, and that way I'll get to control them. You don't get to say, hey, I love Chinese people, I can't believe Chinese people are against me. And I'm the good guy. No, you don't get to say any of that. And I believe that Israel can be the good guys.
Yeah.
But you've got to get the peace and you've got to let him go. I don't care what fairy tales you told yourself about, oh, we offered him a peace deal 75 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. Oh, no, you say, and all peace deals that we offer are by definition awesome. And even if it said to take a giant part of their land, it was they should have taken it. And since they didn't take it, they deserve imprisonment for the rest of their lives and humiliation for the rest of their lives. No, no. If you're occupying in the way that they are suggesting here, you are saying Israel would like to be permanently the bad guy. And that is a terrible thing for Israel, let alone the poor Palestinians there. I mean, is there no end to their suffering? Is there no one in the world who cares? And so it's disgusting what's happening to the Palestinians. And if your heart doesn't break for them, you lost the thread somewhere, man. You lost the thread. You got to get back to sanity and decency and morality. And this plan is not within continence of that.
Well, my heart keeps breaking again and again and again. Every single time I've joined you all over the last few months, it just feels like it's gotten worse and worse. And I just want to tell you both how much I appreciate both your courage. I've been seeing you, Cenk, mix it up with some pretty heavy folks on Piers Morgan and other networks. And I appreciate your courage here. And I also want to direct all viewers here to also look at the great work of Norman Finkelstein, who is Jewish and is thoroughly researched on this issue and has been writing about it for decades, you know. And my heart also breaks, of course, first and foremost for all my Palestinian brothers and sisters, but it actually also breaks for my Israeli and Jewish brothers and sisters. What Netanyahu is doing is imperiling Jewish people all around the planet and imperiling Israelis. And I hope at some point people in Israel and Americans writ large, well, I think we all do, we primarily do support a ceasefire, will realize this. This situation is getting closer and closer to a District 9 type of situation. If you ever saw that great movie, people who are considered aliens being locked up in cages. And first, the Israeli government, just a little history on this. First, the Israeli state and the IDF said, you all go south, the southern part of Gaza, and you're safe there. And massacred people in the north. Then they started moving more and more south, and everyone was like, wait a second, you told us to go south. Then they said, go to Rafah, that's where the refugee camp is, as if 2.5 million people can live in some place with no infrastructure, no buildings, family members dead, etc. Now they're attacking Rafah. I literally have friends that are trying to get out right now across Rafah, and it's being attacked severely, so there's nowhere for these people to go. So then it's eminently clear what the vision is. The vision is flush or kill as many as possible, or flush them out, and the rest put in these sort of District 9 cage prisons. And in the meantime, there are specious, still unverified claims that UNRWA, or UNRWA you all call it, was somehow infiltrated by Hamas. But they just keep saying that again and again. Where is their evidence? They're excellent at propaganda, but where's their evidence on this? In the meantime, during this campaign, many journalists have been murdered, many healthcare workers have been murdered, of all races and ethnicities who are there in Gaza. Many UN staff have been murdered. And in the meantime, Algeria called, I think you all reported on this, for a ceasefire, introduced a UN resolution, and the US said it would veto it in the Security Council right away. So Blinken may say that he doesn't agree with all of this, but it's all about actions, not words. Instead, I would actually, if we want to look at real righteous words on this issue, I would listen to President Lula from Brazil and his comments on this matter.
Yeah, so I want to build off of what Ramesh is saying. First of all, UNRWA, the charges that Israel leveled against them was pure propaganda. Channel 4 in the UK not only had an excellent report showing that they actually got the documents that the Israelis handed in, it had zero evidence, none. And so, and then they questioned a couple of Israeli representatives, and the Israeli representatives basically admitted they have no evidence. They're like, it's great evidence. It's secret though, it's super secret. They're like, well, you said the UN should shut it down, so if you have any evidence, you'd give it to the UN so they could shut it down, right? They're like, yeah, no, we're just gonna keep it ourselves. Yep. Super secret. Absurd, they're totally lying. And why? Think about how monstrous that is. These are the only people who give aid, food, medicine to Palestinians. They're gonna die without them. They're not gonna have the food, the medicine, they're not gonna have anyone to help them at all. And that's the point, and that's the point. Their last piece of help, Israeli propaganda, took away $400 million. And the sick US government and the sick Western governments go along with this ruse. They know there's no evidence, and they pull the funding anyway. They know those Palestinians are going to be brutalized without UNRWA. And they're like, yeah, good, God, yeah. And then they'll see this awful, it's a plan for it to create a giant ghetto. You can call it anything you like, it doesn't matter, that's what it is. And no one can argue it's not a ghetto under this plan.
Which literally is a reference to Jewish encampments and concentration camps.
If there was Jews in that ghetto instead of Palestinians, no one in America would accept it, and we shouldn't. We would go to war to protect those people, but it's Palestinians, good, live there. And oh yeah, let's help them lie about UNRWA. Let's pull any aid they have. And this last thing is, Netanyahu says, well, if we do peace now, it would reward the terrorist Hamas. Well, if we don't do peace, it rewards the terrorist Netanyahu, who has killed 25 times the number of civilians that Hamas has. And how about Yigal Amir? Yigal Amir was the most effective terrorist of my lifetime. He murdered Yitzhak Rabin, who was the prime minister of Israel at the time, a Jewish fundamentalist nut job with one of the worst people on planet Earth. He kills the Israeli prime minister, and well, isn't it rewarding him that Israel then didn't do peace? Yigal Amir got exactly what he wanted. He wanted war and endless humiliation of Palestinians and endless conflict so that Israel could never be safe. And you rewarded him, and who did that? Netanyahu did that. He rewarded the terrorist Amir for murdering an Israeli prime minister by not doing peace. Going, good job, thank you for murdering my political opponent. Now we can do 20 more years of war. So you know who rewards terrorists the most? Benjamin Netanyahu. There are good people in Israel. You need to remove him. If you do not remove him from power, you're never gonna have anything but endless war. And I don't care how you feel about it. I'm your friend, and I'm trying to tell you the reality to snap you out of it because you're so blinded. The rest of the world is hating you because of this. Because of this, not because, oh, they already hated us. They're biased. They're biased against us. No, they see you brutalizing these people. The government of Israel doing this right in front of all of our eyes. Yeah. And you think that helps Israelis? You think that helps Jews across the world? Are you insane? As a friend, I'm telling you, get out of there. Don't do that. So you gotta have an election and you gotta put someone else in. This isn't a plan. This is a plan for permanent oppression and turning Israel into one of the worst, most despised nations on earth. Don't do that to Israel, and don't do that to the Palestinians.